Okay.
And you also produce many interesting recipes. So where do you find inspiration?
It's funny because my book Raw Magic came out in 2007 it was, and I said, okay, I'm done writing recipe books, I've written 3, I'm not going to write anymore, and then I still kept making up recipes. So they all go on my website now, the Magic Bubble, Penny's Magic Bubble. I don't know, I think a lot of the time we find new ingredients, and that's always very inspiring. So, I only discovered chia a few years ago, so I've been making lots of chia recipes. Oftentimes people inspire me actually, so I'll visit a friend and make something for them, and that's a lot where my recipes come from. Or the children will ask for something, or it's probably either new ingredients or just trying to make something for someone special and try and create something exciting for a special person in my life.
How does your average day look like? What are your usual menus, if there is any typical?
I don't eat very much. I eat quite small amounts. I have a lot of liquids. So at the moment it's really hot. We're having a little heat wave in England, which is very, very unusual.
Wow.
So I have about 5 litres of liquid a day. I have medicinal teas. I have hemp milks, and I have green juices. And then my meals will be quite small. So I probably have somewhere between 3 and 5 small things to eat in the day, a bit more than a snack and a bit less than a meal. Today I had a really lovely thing. I made a savoury chia thing for dinner, and I put in mushrooms and sauerkraut and some sesame, like mayonnaise, sesame sort of creamed mayonnaise, stirred that in, and avocado. That was delicious. I had some chocolate that I'd made with bee pollen in and royal jelly. What else did I have? I can't think. Usually it's quite an equal balance, and my meals are very dark green. So I eat a lot of leafy greens, I eat a lot of cultured foods, I eat a lot of sea vegetables. Usually there's some sea vegetables in my meals. And then my sweet things are usually cakes or chocolates, or sometimes I do things with Irish moss or chia. I love flax crackers.
So you do have a bit of a sweet tooth.
Well, no, I don't think so really, because my sweet stuff isn't over sweet. My sweet stuff is quite low glycemic usually. But I do like my chocolate for sure.
You also have 3 kids, if I understand. And are they also raw?
Yeah.
And how did you manage to excite them to eat raw in the cooked world?
Again, I think it's just allowing their bodies to, allowing them to be intuitive in their bodies, and because I think it's a lot to do with what you have at home, and if you have cooked foods at home, then it's really hard to not let your children have those. So when Ruben was a baby, my then partner, he was vegan, but he was having cooked foods at home. So Ruben got a taste for some cooked foods, but as he got older, he just lost the taste for them really. Now he just loves vegetables, he eats loads of vegetables. Again, actually, he eats quite small amounts, and I'm always surprised. I'm always saying to him, aren't you hungry? And he's like, no, but he eats like huge bowls of vegetables. He makes like a vegetable stew that he warms up, and he likes making soups, and he loves avocados, he eats avocado salads. Then when Ethan and Zachary were born, we really didn't hardly have any cooked foods in the house. I think by the time Zachary was born, there wasn't any cooked foods in the house. So they never really knew. They don't really know. They don't really understand how different they are, because it's just what we have at home. So
what about kindergartens and schools?
Well, they're home educated, so that cuts a lot.
What about the grandmothers?
Yeah, I think I'm always careful to carry stuff around with us, and I'm always careful to, if I know they're going somewhere where there's going to be, a spread of foods, then I'm always to make sure that they've got their own treats with them. And I think the children, they don't really care what they're getting as long as they're getting their treats. So they don't mind that their treats are different from everyone else's treats. To them, a treat is a treat. So if I've got something that's exciting to them in my bag, I can whip that out, and they won't really kind of take much notice of what other people are getting.
So you, I guess, as I understand, you had no problem to get more green stuff in them.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
No? Oh, green was not their color.
They're instinctively resistant to vegetables. It's amazing how much they'll try and, considering that's more or less all we have in the house, they'll try and really avoid getting vegetables in their dinner as much as possible. So it's always a bit of a, they have their things they like, and if you don't have those things, it can be a bit of a battle to try and get them to eat something else. But they eat lots of sea vegetables. They eat lots of they do, but I wouldn't say it's easy.
Any tricks maybe to share?
With Ruben, what I used to do is I used to give him what he wanted, but I used to give him raw food with it. So, for instance, he liked pasta, so I used to cook him corn pasta or rice pasta, and I used to make a raw pasta sauce. Or he wanted soup, so he was used to having his soups warm. So I'd cook the potatoes in water, obviously, and then blend up the potatoes with raw vegetables. So he was getting the cooked soup that was similar to what he had at kindergarten, but whereas they cooked all the vegetables, in his it was mostly raw. So I think just sneaking things in. Stuff like celery is quite easy to sneak in because it doesn't really taste. Put in stuff like algae, because again with children you just need really tiny doses, like 1/4 teaspoon of algae. So just trying to sneak parsley is something you can usually sneak a bit of parsley and just
Mothers.
And bartering always works. If you do this, then I let you have that. So if you want a rice cake, you have to eat all your carrot first, and then that usually does the trick.
Mother sneaking the vegetables.
Yeah.
So I also understand that when we are trying to agree for the interview, it was really hard because you're traveling a lot, and maybe any ideas or suggestions how to stay raw on trips out of your kitchen?
Yeah, well I think usually, nearly everywhere you could go you can get raw fruit and vegetables quite easily. So then I usually pack some sea vegetables because they soak up really nicely. Most sea vegetables will soak up to like 4 times their size. I usually pack nori sheets because they're great as well, don't take up any space. I usually pack chia, again that will swell up to 4 times its size, and you don't need any equipment to make chia. You just need a bowl to soak it in. And some good water, and then just put some sweeteners and raisins or whatever in. So that's usually quite easy to do wherever you are. And then I just pack my superfoods. I love the chlorella nuts. I've got some here actually.
Oh.
The chlorella tablets. These are great for when you're not sure if you're going to get your vegetables full of greens. Bee pollen, chocolate bars. I usually take some chocolate bars. Maybe some other superfoods. Reishi is one of my favourites, so I usually pack some reishi.
Do you take your blender with you, or small blender, or not?
I just recently bought a hand blender, those little electric hand blenders, and that worked for making mine, because I make my juices in the blender, so you blend all the vegetables up and then strain it through a milk bag, so it worked for making my juice and my milk. And it's got a little food processor attachment as well, so I did make pates in it as well, like a sunflower seed pate. That was good, yeah.
What about your store? Maybe you can tell us, are there any favorite products that are most popular?
The most popular thing is the chocolate bars, the Be the Change chocolate bar, which got Ethereum Gold and Crystal Manna in. I think that's our most popular product. We sell a lot of chia and a lot of kelp noodles. The kelp noodles, they're amazing and everyone loves those. So it's really amazing. It's really exciting to see it because obviously we started in 2002. We were just based in London, and it's just spreading all around Europe now. And I'd say a large percentage of our customers we've got an order from Hungary today. It's just amazing that you can reach people, so we all over Northern Europe, Eastern Europe, we're sending stuff out. It's great to see it growing like that.
How do you see, what do you think the future will bring for raw food movement? And
well, I'm really positive. I'm really excited. I've seen, just in the time I've been doing it, I've seen huge leaps ahead and huge growth and interest and understanding really of how to do it. I think that's an issue as well, is that 10 years ago it was much harder to be raw because the right information wasn't there. We didn't have all the pieces of the puzzle. But now I feel if people are starting to go, well, now there is so much good information, it's much easier to start doing it and start getting it right. So people are doing it, they're getting good results, they're looking healthy, they're feeling healthy, and then people around them, their friends and their colleagues, as we were saying in the beginning, instead of saying, what's that weird diet you're on, they're like, wow, you look really good, I want to try this. So yeah, I think it's I think people in Europe generally as well, I mean, no offence to the Americans, because they've really spearheaded the movement and they've really inspired a lot of people. But Americans do have a tendency towards hype, don't they? They do have a tendency towards just overexcitement about things, which is great. As I said, it's inspired a lot of people. But I think in Europe, people tend to have a more serious approach to things. But this is actually really good because it means that people in Europe are really getting to the bottom of what is the good information and really starting to do the diet properly. Whereas I think in America there's more of a tendency to be raw and not really address all the nutritional issues and maybe skate over the surface of things a bit. But in Europe people are really seeming to get a good grip on it and, really sticking with it and setting up businesses and raw food cafes and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's just, it's really, it's on an exponential curve up at the moment. Since last year it got much more interest. And it's just keep building this year, and I don't see it stopping now. I think it will become as mainstream as vegetarianism is. So, I don't know whether the whole world will ever be raw. I haven't thought that far, but I can see a time in the next maybe 5 years when being a raw foodist is as normal as being a vegetarian, and it's accepted, and it's as easy as being a vegetarian. So, yeah, that's amazing.
Do you have maybe for the end some message for our viewers?
I'm a really positive person. I do think it's so much to do with your attitude to life. I read a quote the other day which I really like, which is health is 50% diet, 50% exercise, and 50% mental attitude. Which means you have to put in 150% into life to get good results. But I think those three things are just as important as each other, and I think when you have a positive attitude you really can. So much of the problems of the world at the moment are down to just us believing that we can't change things, believing that things are too difficult and it's too hard and the situation is too awful. And actually when we shift our way of being and we find this place in ourselves which is full of joy and positivity and abundance and life and energy, then we start to see solutions. And I think, it might seem very grim, the global situation at times at the moment, but I'm very optimistic. I think if we all work together, we have got all the answers and we will make it through. And yeah, I think the next few years are going to be very, very interesting, very exciting time to be part of this movement that really does have the power to change the world and is changing the world more than any other movement that I observe.
I like your conclusion thoughts. So I would like to thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll meet again.
Yes.